Hello and welcome to today's video. Today, there's a new NASCAR schedule for 2022, so let's take a look at that. We did a similar video like this last year looking at the current year schedule. So let's take a look at what we got for next season. So not as many changes, obviously, but yeah, we got that. There's not as many breaks in the schedule, which is pretty cool. There's only really 1 week off, which is June 19th that week, which is a week between Fox and NBC's coverage. So that's what we get there. So see what we got. The first race is the Clash at the LA Coliseum. Now that's something that came out yesterday. Kind of got mixed feelings on that. I think that's one of the things that's give it a chance. I don't know if a trip across the country to LA for a non-points race 2 weeks before Daytona 500 makes sense. I don't think the teams and drivers are going to necessarily be feeling that, but I think it would provide a good race. But I think for teams in the history of the sport, it's a bit questionable. Then we get the duels, Daytona 500, of course. Then we're racing Auto Club's second race of the season. We haven't seen Auto Club since early 2020. Las Vegas, Phoenix, Atlanta, that kind of stays the same. Then we go to 30 of the Americas in March instead of May. So that's cool. Richmond, Martinsville, Bristol. There's a three short tracks in a row, followed up by Talladega. Big switch there. Transition-wise from racing short tracks to the longest track, or longest oval on the calendar. Then we got Dover, Darlington throwback race, Kansas all-star race in Texas, Coke 600, and then the new track on the calendar, the only new one this year, Worldwide Technology Raceway, or Gateway. This is one of the tracks that people have been saying should be in the calendar for a while. I believe I've been putting in a potential, what I'd like to see in the future calendar video as well. So a lot of people have been saying that should be in the calendar. It's cool to see it here. We'll discuss what race gets taken away with that in a minute. Then you go to Sonoma, and then it switches to NBC at the start of Nashville Super Speedway. Then we have Road America for the 4th of July, second year in a row. Atlanta, New Hampshire, and Pocono. Now Pocono loses the date. Pocono goes to a single date on the calendar, which I think makes sense. Pocono doesn't really need two. They did do the back-to-back, the double header. That's what it was, double header weekend, Saturday, Sunday, for 2 seasons, 2020, which it didn't feel unique because we were doing that at other tracks to make up races, and then doing it this year, which was unique to only this year on the calendar. But Pocono doesn't really provide much, so only having Pocono once seems fine. Then we go to Indianapolis Road Course, Michigan, Richmond, so that Richmond comes out of the playoffs. Richmond was the second race in the playoffs this year, last year. Would have been the opening race a few years ago. It's been in the playoffs since 2018. That was the cutoff race for the playoffs and the chase for years. Got moved into the playoffs, and now it's pushed out by a few weeks. So that would be the race that took place on the 12th this year. September 12th. I shouldn't just say the 12th. You don't know. No, it took place on the 11th, didn't it? Yeah, September 11th. So that took place this year, September 11th, but they're going to move that out of the playoffs, which makes sense. Richmond didn't really provide much in the playoffs. It's the most boring short track on the calendar. We then have Watkins Glen, and then Daytona. I don't think that really changes. The only thing is Michigan moves out of that in between. So basically, to get in the playoffs, there's 2 wild card races back to back: Watkins Glen and Daytona. Opening the playoffs, we have Darlington again, Southern 500. We then have Kansas as the second race. Kansas is typically later in. Kansas, I believe, this year is round of 8. So Kansas is in the round of 16. Bristol to end off the first round of the playoffs. So it's cool to see them switching up the playoffs. I think that's something that if you're going to do playoffs, let's switch up the tracks in it. I think that you have certain ones that are staples: Darlington, Talladega, Charlotte Road Course, Kansas in the playoffs. But we can shuffle around to these other ones. So you have Texas, Talladega, and Charlotte Road Course in the round of 12. That's what was in the first. Was in the opening round of 12? Maybe that is Kansas. I think Kansas moves up, Texas moves up, Las Vegas moves back. That's what it is. Because Las Vegas is the round of 12. Yeah, it kind of switches up the round of 8, which kind of fell flat. So this time, we're having Las Vegas, Homestead back in the playoffs. Homestead, of course, was the championship race, the final race of the NASCAR season from 2002 to 2019. One of the longest on there. Homestead and Atlanta have been the final race of the season, like the most. Yeah, Homestead started 2002 because 2001 was New Hampshire. And then before that was Atlanta. So, Homestead back in the playoffs because it got moved to early in the year. It was like, I think this year was the third race. Got a little shuffled with the cancellation of Auto Club, but normally it was kind of put in early year for once or twice. It was intended, at least. We have Martinsville after Homestead. I think Martinsville's a good round of 8 closeout track. And then, of course, we have Phoenix as the championship. I would like to see a different track. I think Phoenix doesn't provide excitement for a championship. And I think that I don't like the championship race being a track that's been raced multiple times. Or already been raced once in the season. I think the championship race being you show up once makes it more special because you've already seen the track once. It kind of takes away from it. We'll already have seen Phoenix, So to see Homestead at the end, that was cool. Get a track that they don't have as much information how their car will drive at it. So overall, I think it's cool. I do like the kind of eliminating of tracks having multiple dates. I think that, we saw that with Michigan drop one last year, or, last year's announcement for the season. This announcement for next season, getting rid of a Pocono race, I think is a good move. I like seeing a track once, so, we get Las Vegas twice, Phoenix twice, Atlanta twice, Richmond, Martinsville, Talladega, Daytona. I think that's pretty much it. Kansas. Because Charlotte we see twice, but in different forms. Bristol we see twice, but different forms. So, Darlington we have twice. So, we are getting more variety of tracks, though. I think that's a good thing to see. Definitely less announcements this year compared to last year. When we got the 2021 schedule, that was insane. That was something that was like, for anybody that was like mid-20s, pretty much, or younger, that was like the first time that the schedule really got shaken up that you'd remember. Because they hadn't really changed the schedule much for almost 20 years. to, maybe like 5, something like that. I remember the schedule hadn't really changed much since I was little. So last year was wild. This year, we're getting a shake up a little bit of the playoffs, and we're getting Gateway or Worldwide Technology Raceway, whatever you want to call it. Getting that in the play or getting that on the schedule is cool. I think we'll probably start to see more things join the schedule. I know there's obviously push for National Fairgrounds, North of Wilkesboro, push for both those tracks. Of course, they both need improvements, but there seems to be discussions of getting some of those tracks going, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more tracks like that join the schedule. So, pretty much the only thing from this year that we don't have on the schedule is Daytona Road Course, which I think Daytona Road Course is a cool layout. I enjoy playing it in video games. I don't necessarily think that Daytona Road Course was the best road course of all of them, so I'm not super disappointed, but I would like to see it in some form, so bit of a shame that we don't have it at the same time. But of course, Daytona Road Course was just a filler the last 2 years for Rona cancellations. Last year it was replacement for Watkins Glen. This year's replacement for Auto Club. This will be the last season that we'll see Auto Club in its 2-mile form as well. It's going to go down to a short track for 2023. So we got that change. Final year for that. Any other notable things? I don't really think so. Let's see, does NASCAR put any other notable things? I don't think so. Yeah. We are going to have the schedule for Xfinity and trucks later on as well, but I think that at least the last few years, those schedules have started to fall more in line, with these dates, so I'd imagine we get even more of that for those 2 series, falling more in line with it. I think that they really don't have as many unique tracks they had to as they used to. A lot of them are now on the Cup schedule. Obviously, Gateway being one of them now for trucks that is now on the Cup schedule. So I really think they each have one unique road course. I think Xfinity's got Mid-Ohio. Trucks have Canadian Tire. So I think that's pretty much it. I think that trucks may be doing dirt at whatever that dirt track was called that they raced at. That's pretty much it. So won't see much difference on those, I don't believe. But yeah, wild schedule starting with the Clash at the LA Coliseum. So with that, thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you guys in the next one.